Hello, Out Entrepreneurs. Rhodes Perry here, and welcome to episode number 2 of The Out Entrepreneur, a weekly podcast where I get to interview today's most inspiring LGBTQ bosses crushing it in business. Today, I am so happy to be interviewing Ebony Bell. Ebony, are you ready to inspire fellow Out bosses?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what I like to hear. So just a little bit about Ebony. Ebony is the founder and managing editor of Tag Magazine, a print publication, website, and podcast show dedicated to serving everything lesbian, queer, and rainbow. Tag Magazine was recently named Top 20 LGBTQ-owned companies by the Washington Business Journal. Ebony is a former board member of the Capital Area Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, as well as an LGBT certified business with the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. In addition to running Tag, she also speaks at conferences about marketing to the LGBT community. She is known as the go-to girl for LGBTQ marketing and queer women-focused events, resources, and advertising. Ebony, it is so wonderful to be with you today. Can you take a moment and tell us a little more about your business and what makes it unique?
Sure. So as you mentioned, I run Tag Magazine, and I started it 4 years ago because I saw a need within our community, specifically the DC metropolitan area, for more content for women, because I wasn't really seeing it in our other publication. And I also wasn't seeing a lot of queer people of color. So I felt I wanted to fill that void because I wanted to tell our stories and provide resources and events. So I decided to niche down more and focus on everything lesbian, queer, and under the rainbow. So we started off with the print publication. And since then, we've kind of grown. You asked how we're unique. Well, one, we're unique because we have a very specific audience, but we've branched out as well. So obviously we have the website, we have the print publication here in the DC area. And about a year ago, we started Tag Rehoboth magazine in Delaware. And then about a year and a half ago, we started the Tag Nation podcast show. And it's unique because we realized that there wasn't anything quite like that out in the podcast land. So really, we exist to make sure that we fill the void and that we're constantly telling our stories.
It's clear that you're very niche and super inspired to do your business, but I'm most curious about what's the number one thing right now that's inspiring you about your business and some of the opportunities on the horizon.
Oh, great question. So this is perfect timing in January because we just launched our new website.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I think, that just comes a part of growing. You got to change when your audience is changing or the climate is changing. So we're really excited to provide more content on our website. And what gets me really excited is we're making sure now that our website is accessible to across the country. And when I say that, obviously websites, everybody can look at it, but we'll have more content of all happenings around the country. So I'm really excited to branch out more on a national level for people wherever they are, other countries, other states. So that is really exciting to me. It's a lot of work to get everything together and put, systems in place. So I'm excited to get feedback and get people, more involved within the community. And I think launching this new website will definitely do that.
And that's huge, having that access in other areas of the country, especially some of the more rural areas, will be such a value that you'll add. So congratulations on that. I wanted to ask a question, and this is something that I've seen with a number of entrepreneurs, and I just want to see if this resonates with you. It seems like we come to a place in our career where we feel a calling to pursue a purpose-driven idea, or we just couldn't stomach the idea of working for another person. And I would really love to hear if one in particular resonates with you.
You know what? I think both. So before I started Tag, I was working at the Chronicle of Higher Education as an advertising manager, which was fantastic. And then after a while, depending on the company, sometimes you can't elevate anymore in that company. And I realized that, in order for me to advance, the person above me would have to leave. And that wasn't happening anytime soon. So before Tag, I decided to start event marketing company, BOI Marketing and Promotions. And it was perfect timing for me to do it. And so I kind of jumped out to see, how that would work and provide event marketing services and promotional services for the community. So I think I've always had the entrepreneurial spirit I think what excites me the most is being able to provide something that people really appreciate. And I don't want to say you don't get that in the workforce or corporate America, but it really makes a difference when it's you and it's from your own brain. So I think that that is more it for me as far as really wanting to make a difference and literally being the one that is doing that or started that. So I think it's a little bit of both. I definitely had an itch to get out because after a while for me, it just became the same old 9 to 5, and I couldn't do it. I felt like it was soul crushing. I think it was for me personally, I feel like it was soul crushing. Like sometimes you feel like you're just meant to be more or do more than what you're doing. Whether that's going to another company or starting your own business, you just know, like, I'm meant to do more than just sit at this desk. I know that that's kind of where I started was, hey, I have a great opportunity to serve a community that isn't being served. And I feel like this is what I'm meant to do.
And that is the definition of being an entrepreneur right there. Innovation, making a difference in people's lives, and the infinite possibilities that you have. On a related note, did being LGBTQ influence your journey to become your own boss?
Yes, in a few ways, I think it did, especially 2 ways. So I've experienced interesting things in the workforce. One of my first jobs out of college, I was fired because I was a masculine of center woman. And the young woman they replaced me with was not even qualified by any means. And they liked her because she was pretty. She was a feminine, straight woman who was pretty, and they let me go, which was, it was a hard experience, but it was a great lesson learned. And I think I kind of took that with me and said, one, I'll never work for another company that isn't LGBTQ friendly or doesn't have those policies in place for LGBTQ people. But it always kept it in the back of my mind because I realized that the way that I look and how I identify can absolutely change the communication, the vibe, the energy of the place that you work and the people that you work with. So I think identifying as lesbian or queer definitely motivated me to get out of the workforce because I just wanted to be comfortable with who I was. And I didn't want to always look over my shoulder or have to tell people that I am a woman in the women's bathroom, just things like that. So I just wanted to be myself and make a difference. And then obviously, being LGBTQ, I started a lesbian magazine. So it obviously had a huge impact on who I was. And I started it because I wasn't seeing our voices or our stories. So I absolutely can relate to both of those things for sure.
Right. So, and that was a moment as you were serving as an employee. Now you're the boss. So I want you to take us back to a specific time that you consider to be a really challenging boss moment that also relates to being LGBTQ, because I think that this is also something that our listeners can resonate with, those of us who are running our own businesses. So this could be a moment where you were challenged with bringing your authentic self to work, maybe because you were afraid of losing business or you felt unsafe.
I would say for the most part, 95% of the time, I haven't had to deal with that. I will say what was challenging, and I don't necessarily do it anymore, I was really hitting the networking circuit in the area. I know people have heard of like BNIs and referral groups and things like that. So I was part of one of those and got into that. And then it would lead me to other networking events. And a lot of times you can tell when people are uncomfortable and maybe uncomfortable with your appearance or how you look or the fact that you're gay. And at first I would kind of look at it as a challenge and get a little discouraged, like, why is it this way? But honestly, I got through it and it was fine. And I think any business person, as you kind of navigate, because it's a lot of learning experience, I realized that, hey, this just isn't for me. This just isn't for me to go into majority straight networking events just did not work out. And that's okay. Some things did, and I got some great advertisers from it. But ultimately, that challenge also was a lesson learned. And so I do network. I just network to me, what are the right spaces? You mentioned the National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. Here in DC, we have the Capital Area Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. So I do a lot of work there. In some ways, I'm happy that I had that challenge. And I'm happy really for a lot of challenges that I've had because it just made me work a lot harder. And it's always a lesson learned.
Yeah. And it sounds like even in those tough moments, you found the silver lining and you built some bridges for people that may not understand aspects of being under the broad LGBT umbrella. So thank you for doing that, because it absolutely makes the rest of us feel more supported, especially for those folks who may have to work for those businesses that you're mentioning. So this is something that I think that you can really highlight with the work that you do, specifically thinking about ways that you've leveraged your LGBT identity to build a thriving business. And I think TAG is a perfect example of that. So if you could share a little bit more about the advantages that you have, obviously, to run TAG, also identifying under the LGBT umbrella.
Sure. So I think we've been able to leverage in a couple of ways. I mentioned at the beginning, I think we have been able to grow because we've niched down and niched some more and really targeted a specific market. So, I decided we wouldn't be all LGBT. And that's okay because we had other publications in the area serving exactly that. So I think we've been able to leverage things like getting different advertisers or unique advertisers because a lot of people that advertise with us, either whether they identify as LGBT or LGBT friendly, many of these people are specifically saying, how do I market to the women in the community? Because lesbians, queer women are different than gay men, and obviously also transgender people as well. So I think that leverage has really allowed us to grow. We work with a national ad agency, and they have been able to do a really great job because a lot of people specifically ask, how do they reach the women? There are companies like Olivia Cruise or Olivia Travel, and most likely they're not going to advertise in a all-inclusive magazine or a men's publication because they are specifically a women's travel company. So I think being able to have a very specific target market has helped us with advertising for sure. And as you can imagine, that's a majority of the revenue that comes in for us. I think the other thing would probably be just being able to relate to our community. It's one thing to have a publication, but not literally be able to relate to it because it's not who you are. I could have been a straight white male or something that's out there, by the way. There are straight people who have LGBT focused businesses. Not a lot, but they do. And I think I've been able to leverage because of who I am, honestly. I think, again, I've been able to leverage things through the local chamber. And now that we're LGBT certified through NGLCC, a lot of doors have opened for us because now we have a whole huge community of people across the country. I will say, and I got to give him a shout out, I met James Nolan. He was a speaker at the NGLCC conference, and he did something on financing and, helping your business grow with the right financial tools and practices. He was absolutely fantastic. He made a huge impression on me. He gave out his phone number and his email, and I didn't waste any time when I got back home. And I reached out to him to talk to him. And because of this conference and because of being LGBT, he is now my monthly business coach, which is amazing. And just because of being LGBT certified, I got this opportunity. And I know for a fact I wouldn't have been able to have that opportunity without leveraging our certification and leveraging exactly, our niche market, which is women.
Right. You're speaking to so many great points. It's the power of community and what you had said earlier, finding a need. There was a massive unmet need for lesbian and queer women in the DC metro area. And now beyond, you're expanding very broadly and you were able to focus down and really target. And I think that can sometimes be a challenge for entrepreneurs when they start, when they have a great idea and they want to serve as many people as possible. And sometimes by doing that, their message or their services end up getting watered down. You've shared a ton of value already, Ebony, so thank you. Right now, we're going to take a quick sponsorship break, but don't go anywhere because when we return, we're going to jump into our bonus round.
HR and diversity professionals. Are you struggling with engaging LGBTQ talent? Do you stay awake at night worrying about limiting litigation risks? Have you considered seeking support around these concerns, but just aren't sure where to turn? Look no further. Rhodes Perry Consulting offers you solutions with the Engaging LGBTQ Talent A to Z certification. This proven 4-week mentorship program delivers skills, offers support, and connects you with other professionals committed to transforming themselves and their workplaces. Learn more about this cutting-edge program by visiting rhodesperry.com and use the promo code RPC for a 10% discount. Take action and visit rhodesperry.com.
Welcome to the bonus round. This is a time where our listeners are going to have the opportunity to get to know our guest a little bit better, gain some insights on how they can leverage their LGBT identity, and learn how to stay in touch with Ebony. So Ebony, did your LGBT identity hold you back from taking the entrepreneurial leap, or did it speed up the process for you?
Oh, I definitely think it sped up the process for me for sure. Obviously, it goes without saying because I identify as lesbian, queer. And so again, I think it definitely sped things up for me because I identified within the community. And before TAG, I've been involved in the community for 10 plus years in all different aspects, with throwing a Capital Queer Prom, which was a second chance prom, to drag kinging, to all kinds of stuff, and really kind of building that black book of contacts and experience. So I was full steam ahead, Rhodes.
Okay, thank you. And what's one piece of advice you've received to stay motivated in your business?
I've gotten, great advice over the past 4 years, but something that's really stuck with me, and the advice that I've gotten from other gay-owned businesses, is to use the power of delegation and building a team.
Yes.
I cannot stress enough how important that is. I essentially, the first year of this magazine, I would even say year and a half, I tried to do everything. Mm-hmm. And that is a surefire way to burn yourself out.
Yes.
And I'm happy that did not happen. As you kind of start to grow, or maybe you're not growing, you never know who wants to help you. On a monthly basis, we get people that come to us and want to volunteer. So the best advice that I ever received was build your team and delegate. And that's been a beautiful thing.
Amen. That is the 80-20 principle, where you've delegated 80% of everything and 20% is you creating, working on your business, driving it forward. So underscoring that for entrepreneurs, it's important for me to hear that. It's important for everyone to remember that, because we started our businesses because we love what we do and we don't have to do everything. We can have support and really grow a thriving business. So Ebony, you are deeply involved with the community, and I'm really curious to learn how your company gives back to LGBT communities, both locally and then obviously across the country as well. So this could be through charitable giving or volunteering, or something that I think is helpful for clients that I work with is around hiring, but especially contracting out. You had mentioned that you're an LGBT certified business. So maybe looking at ways of employing other LGBT certified businesses as you're delegating the work. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So there's a few ways that I personally and the company give back. And I always try to either volunteer my time or get on committees or boards of organizations that I really feel are making a difference. So for example, the National HRC Dinner, which is here in DC, just happened, and they asked me to come on as a table captain co-chair. And so I felt like that was a great opportunity to build their fan base, for lack of a better word, and really rally people to be a part of this event. So I've done that. I've served on the board for the Capital Area Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce. And specifically, myself and another woman on the board, we started, and it's still happening, which is fantastic. We started something called Women's Wednesday. And it happened every month. And it specifically is for women, business professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners. And it was a way for all of us to get together and connect, because what we were noticing is a lot of the networking events was majority men, which is great, but we wanted to really highlight women and support them in any way that we can. So that's continuing to happen, and I'm very proud to see that happen. As far as TAG goes, when we were doing the Capital Queer Prom, we always make sure that proceeds go to a nonprofit organization. So throughout the year, we're always giving back to a charity. So I think the last one was Transgender Health Empowerment. We've given to the Wanda Alston House, which is an LGBT youth homeless shelter that houses young people that are living on the streets, which is fantastic. And the latest and greatest, which I'm very excited about, is we finally started a TAG Scholarship Fund. I've been wanting to do it since we started. And then I realized, oh, wait, we're not really working with a lot as we started. But I am so proud that we are going to give at least 2 young women, specifically queer women of color, an opportunity to go to college for those that can't afford it. So that is the thing that I'm most excited about now. And we'll be opening up applications around the beginning of 2017. So I'm excited about that.
That is huge. Congratulations. So Ebony, thank you so much for being on the show. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. So I wanted to ask you one final question. Could you please share one piece of advice to inspire fellow LGBT people to take the entrepreneurial leap?
The best advice I can give is to just jump. Just jump out there. You got to start from somewhere. Don't feel like you have to have the perfect website, the perfect logo, the perfect this. You can always change that. I always joke about how our first issue, I cringe at how it looked. But you just got to jump out there. And as an LGBT person, there is always going to be somebody there that's going to have your back in the community. So don't be afraid of who you are. Just make the jump. I always say if things don't work out, corporate America will always be there. But I think if you don't take the plunge, it's something that you might regret for the rest of your life. So why not just jump in and either succeed or fail? And either one is okay. Just jump in and join us.
Powerful. Thank you. And Ebony, what's the best way that we can stay in touch with you?
So you can find me on Facebook at just Ebony Bell. It's EBONEBELL. Also find me on Twitter, same thing, at Ebony Bell. And please, I welcome anyone that has any ideas and want to get involved or, of course, want to advertise with us. You can email me directly at ebell@tagmagazine.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much, Ebony. And the final advice is just jump, bosses. So thank you for tuning in this week. Be sure to check out the show notes for highlights of today's conversation. You'll have all of Ebony's contact information there. And please consider leaving a review in iTunes. For now, keep being your authentic selves 100% of the time.